Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show. Don't touch that remote. We got a great show here today. We got a gentleman here. It's going to run for the Pennsylvania State Legislation. Okay, so he is a fighter. He's ready to go in there, and he's going to ask you for his vote for November the 6th. So, my friend, I'm going to let him introduce himself. Tell him your name.
Well, my name is Chris Mundiath, and I'm from Plymouth Reading, which is just down the street over here, and I'm running for state representative in the 70th district. So thank you so much for having me today.
All right. So, well, tell me something about you. How'd you get involved? Why do you get involved in running for an office like this?
So I've actually been involved for a couple of years. I started out in the Philadelphia Republican Party, and I was there as an intern. And I just really enjoyed it. I'm originally from Peru, South America, and I was adopted when I was 6 months old and I came to this country. And I just really want to give back to my community.
Yeah. So, and then you're a graduate of where?
So I graduated LaSalle University, and I graduated with a double major in communication and public relations and business
TV?
Administration. Well, public relations mostly, yeah.
Public relations,
I also did business administration, but communications with the focus on PR.
You write your own material.
I do, yeah.
You don't rely on nobody else, right?
Exactly, yeah. That's always fun.
Well, you have to rely on your party,
Yes.
okay? So, but the main reason, what was the first time you thought you wanted to get involved in politics? Why didn't you maybe become a dentist or something else?
So I actually had no idea what I wanted to do with my life a couple years ago. I like the logistics of politics, just the idea of influencing with policies and giving back to the community. So I would say the first time I actually thought about it was back in high school.
Yeah.
But I never really got seriously involved until a couple years ago.
And then, how about sports and things? Would you get involved in the community? Some of the things. Tell me something about. People want to know something about you.
I played tennis in college high school.
Yeah.
I wanted to play in college, but I couldn't. But
yeah.
I always wanted to. I played USTA tournaments. I always wanted to go further, but in college I just kind of focused on my academics and everything. So, yeah.
But tennis. I went to a couple of tennis matches because Tony DeLucia, his son, was a professional tennis player, and I went down to watch him play down in Convention Hall. And I understand now he's the coach of University of Pennsylvania tennis team.
Okay.
So
yeah.
he moved along. He stayed right with it. And so, all right, now I gotta. When you run for office, you have to really get to know a lot of people. It's the first time you've been involved in the politics, so get some fresh blood in there, right?
Right.
What is the main issues that you focus on? What are some of the things that got your attention?
So right now I'm focusing on lowering taxes, tackling the opioid epidemic, and basically...
Yeah, talk about taxes. You got to limit some kind of property tax and stuff. What's that all about?
So lowering property taxes, a lot of people, especially in Norristown, I always hear that they have kids and they can't feed their kids because their property taxes are too high. Or in Plymouth Meeting in Worcester. By the way, the district is composed of all of Norristown, East Norriton, Worcester, and a part of Plymouth Meeting. And the big thing that I hear among senior citizens in Norristown and Worcester is that I can't afford for my home. And so one of the big things I want to do is, give a big property tax release, working with state legislators to do so.
Well, I'm 94 years old, so I got to take care of. I got to still pay taxes and taxes,
Right.
So I don't know.
And the other thing is young people, people right out of college who just found a fresh job. It's rough for them too. They're $30,000, $40,000 in debt, and they need some kind of relief. And so I think it's really important for them to get some sort of relief for that. I really don't believe that they should have to decide between paying their their mortgage or anything like that, and having to get by and pay their debt. I think they deserve much better opportunities for that. Yeah,
well, I think now you have to do with funding for schools, for education. How about that? Where do you stand on that?
So I actually believe that education is the #1 priority because we can't obviously we can't do anything without our kids. So we have to educate the future generation by putting more money into it. The problem is a lot of school districts, they don't always have money going into the schools for technology, for books, for teachers, and for other resources that's needed to pass. And so I think it's important that we have legislation that puts more money into to schools and assuring that tax dollars do go into schools, because the problem is school property taxes are high, but that money's not always going into schools.
Yeah, well, that, everything. How about the state legislator? What can they do to bring jobs to Pennsylvania? What's the scoop? How do you get involved in that, or what do you do? Where's the switch to turn it on?
Well, essentially, I mean, obviously, I'll be one of many state legislators. I'm just one person representing one district, which is the 70th. But it is very easy, I think, to work with, state legislator in a bipartisan manner. I think one of the big problems we have with state legislators is that there's always, putting party before the people are supposed to be serving. And so one of my goals is to work with Democrats and Republicans and any independents in state legislators and listening to the people to make sure that, I could put more money into Norristown, into my district, because I think there's a lot of things lacking here. So.
Well, what your district? What will you include? What's your district, like Norristown?
So it's Norristown, East Norriton, part of Plymouth Meeting, and Worcester Township.
West Norton?
No, but I don't have West Norriton.
You have
That's
West Norton?
That's a friend of mine who's running
Right.
there
East
too.
Norton,
Norristown, part of Plymouth Meeting, and Worcester Township.
Well, that's really bouncing around, huh?
Yeah, so it's it's all over the place.
Yeah. So are you getting around to meet some of the people?
Yeah, so I've been actually out since May 15th. After the primary, I was uncontested in the primary, so I didn't actually have a primary challenger. I was the only one who wanted to run.
So Joe Gale is the same party as you, right?
He is, yeah. I met Joe a couple weeks ago.
How do you get along with him?
I just met him a couple weeks ago. We had a lunch at Panera, and he was also very young when he got elected. I think he was like 27, and I'm 26. So
you're both. Yeah, I think that's about what he is. 26. He was running for lieutenant governor, but they said he was too young.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 6 months too young.
Exactly. So Joe's a great guy.
Yeah. So you two guys will be somebody new on the horizon. So, all right. Now, what are some of the things that you will do different that you think that maybe somebody else is not doing that you can fill in, you could do? What are some of the things that you'd like to see happen or change?
Well, the one thing that I always tell people is that experience only matters when you've actually done something for the community that you represent and the people that you're supposed to be serving. And I know my opponent. I've gotten to know him. I've seen him at various events. Matt Bradford, who's from Worcester, but he's heavily involved in Norristown. He has an office on Johnson Highway.
Yeah.
And he's a nice guy. And, I'll give him credit for doing constituent services very well. That's anybody has a problem, small issue, they can walk into his office he has people handling it. But I don't think he's done enough for Norristown, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of money that could be put into the borough. Such as infrastructure for roads,
you think
for
Norristown
schools.
being neglected a little bit?
I think it has some issues that, I mean, we're the second wealthiest county in the entire state. And the county seat of Norristown is in the best shape it could be. Westchester is another example of that it used to be neglected.
Yeah.
But now it is a phenomenal place to live. And, I think Norristown could do the same thing.
Yeah, so, I think we're the county seat, and I think that other townships and everything should help out to help Norristown, the county seat, help it, be proud. But Norristown, for some reason or other, has an image not good because they think of crime, but it's not that bad. We got we got a good police department, we got legislators, we got everything. A lot of developing there now. They're building that road along to get up to the highway. You'll be having something to do with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what's the scoop on it? Another little update on it. What do you think?
For schools?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Norristown School District, compared to the surrounding school districts like Colonial, like Methacton, like Upper Marion, I think it could do a lot better. So, I mean, we need to put more money in for technology, for resources, for kids that, have neat opportunities. Hispanic community here in Norristown. I'm from Peru originally, so.
What are you at?
I'm from Peru originally.
Peru?
Yeah, I was born in Peru. Yeah.
I got a son that lives down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Peru.
Yeah.
Hello, Peru. Hey, Michael, he's from Peru. You'll see it down in Peru.
But
Yeah.
I think the Hispanic community here. I mean, we have 30% Hispanic population in Norristown, and a lot
Yeah.
of those kids do go to the Norristown School District.
Hispanic.
Yeah, and a lot of them don't even speak English.
You know,
and
if you turn all of the Hispanics Republican, down. Have you met Father Paleo down at St. Patrick's Church?
yes, I know
Well,
him. Yeah,
That's 90. That used to be 100% Irish.
yeah, I
And
know.
that it changed now. Now it's I guess 93% Hispanic. And when they have a mass down there, they have a mass. They
I know.
sing
Yeah,
and
it's
everything.
just like in Peru,
So
right?
all right, now I think I got two of them here. Yeah, I got two here. All right, here's a question from the audience. What are your plans for job creation?
So the problem with Pennsylvania is we actually have the second highest corporate tax rate in the country.
Wait, repeat that out loud so I can hear it.
We have the second highest corporate tax rate in the country. It's Pennsylvania. So taxes
Highest tax?
the highest, second highest.
Second
Highest in the country, which is
Holy
I think,
mackerel.
it's pretty ridiculous. And so actually a perfect example of that, Teva, which is an Israeli pharmaceutical company based in North Wales, recently announced in June that they'll be leaving for New Jersey because they're going to receive tax breaks in New Jersey. And so they're taking with them, they've been here for decades, and they're taking with them nearly 900 jobs to New Jersey. And so that's just a perfect example of all the professional jobs, 900 of them, nearly 900 that are going to go to a different state because we have too much of a high corporate tax rate. And so I think lowering the corporate tax rate and just, removing unnecessary burden regulations for small businesses that prevent people from creating jobs. I'm all about regulation, in reasonable quantities. I think
Like
we
that.
need that.
What-
Absolutely.
What did you study in college?
So business administration and communication.
Administration, yeah. Well, I think any administrator, anybody that runs for office, whatever, I don't care, it is from the president to the vice president to the governor, they should have a background of business. And I think that's why Trump is being able to do all these things, because he has
That's
a
true.
business background,
That's true.
dealing with hard-nosed union guys, and then they got a soft-nosed politician. So he's having a ball,
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Whether you like him or not,
One thing I've always been in favor for is that we need different, kinds of people in office. We need, business people. I think we need even electricians and plumbers. I think we need all sorts of people from every walks of life to run for office. We don't just need, nothing against lawyers, I have family members who are lawyers, but about 80% of Congress are lawyers.
Yeah.
And so, that kind of puts power into one group of people, but we need everybody to run for office. So, I'm just fresh out of college, but
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one with the lady with the green hat up there. She comes here every show. What are your concerns about the culture in Harrisburg? The culture.
So culture in Harrisburg, I think, like I said, one of the big problems, and I think with all levels in politics, but even in Harrisburg, we see a big divide, bipartisan divide, or partisan divide, where Democrats and Republicans are always doing what's best for their own party or their own interests, their special interest donors, or themselves, and they don't put the communities before the people. And so one of my concerns is that we have a group of people who are only focused on their own power. And so changing that culture where we actually, it's in the title, state representative, actually giving the power to the people in the communities in the district that you represent. So I think that's super important.
Right.
And so that's one thing that I hope to do, or hope to help do, because obviously it's very difficult to break into that. But I'm not going to Harrisburg to make friends or earn a title. I want to serve the community. So
90% listening, 10% talking until you know who's up in Harrisburg.
that's
when you get
very
there,
true.
right?
Yeah, it is a different ball game when you're actually elected in office.
Yeah, right. All right, now I'm going to let you read this one. There's one
Okay.
here from the man with the brown jacket up there. You got to read it out loud.
What is the issue with opioids? So obviously the opioid epidemic is...
Read that out loud again.
What is the issue with opioids?
Okay?
So obviously I think it's a public health crisis, the opioid epidemic. It's not a criminal issue in the sense that people who are addicted to opioids, they have a disease, they have a problem, and we need to fund programs that help with addiction. We need to fund programs that help people get back into society and find jobs. And I think we should be, holding the drug dealers and pharmaceutical companies accountable who make these addictive products. But I think for the most part, the people who are actually addicted, I know personally people who are affected by it, friends in the area, in Norristown and Plymouth Meeting, who struggle with this. And I think it's very important that we treat it as a public health crisis and that we help them find, jobs or whatever it is that they need in order to, help them get back into live a healthy lifestyle. But, I don't think we should treat them particularly as criminals, because that just adds to the problem. It doesn't help anything. It's an addiction. It's really hard to break off.
But
yeah.
What can I say? I'm a former police officer, and when I joined the police department in 1959, there wasn't any drug problems or anything. The only kids were going around sniffing glue and stuff like that. But now it's big stuff. So got to be able to handle it. I think that whoever the legislator comes in there, he got to have a little heart, compassion, and also a stern fist to get the right thing for them. Whether if they get mix crime with drugs, they're a problem.
Exactly.
But if a guy's just a lonely guy and he starts drugging and everything, he's got a problem.
Right.
So he needs some kind of, and that's what's good about Montgomery County courts. They have a special court for drugs. They got one with guys that's special mental. That's what's, Montgomery County, I think, is one of the best counties as far as when they go to court.
It is, yeah.
If they got a criminal problem, they deal with it. They got a drug problem, deal with it. They got a mental problem. And that's what it is. Before it used to be, you did it, boom, jail. That's the only place it had.
Right.
So legislators, you're, I guess, the ones that make the laws, and you got to listen to the people.
Exactly.
What the people want, I think.
Oh, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And, I think this is an issue that affects all walks of life. It's not, specific to one group of people or, socioeconomic status. It's to, all walks of life. So it's very important that we address that issue.
Yeah, so, all right. Oh, here's that one lady with the yellow dress. Who wears the yellow dress in the wintertime? Huh? I don't know. All right, let me see. What challenge do you see if you win? What are some of the challenges you're going to face? You have any idea or something like that? Yeah, well, maybe read that question. Maybe.
What challenges do you see if you win? Well, if I win, I think I overcame the biggest challenge, which is, actually getting into office. But
you're gonna, right.
But I think with anything, it is something new, and it's something that you have to learn. The process. How things work. Just everything from, introducing legislation to working with, a big group of other state legislators.
But you prepare yourself while you were in high school on thinking what you want to do or what you want to be. Is that when you start dropping the seed? Did you get involved when you're in high school? Were you reading politics? Were you doing this, that? What's the score? Sports?
So I started watching YouTube videos, just random YouTube videos, what's going on in my community and in my state and in the country. And that's how I kind of started, getting into politics, just because I liked everything about it. Yeah. And you learn a lot about, what's going to, what to expect. But I think when you're actually there, I think the biggest hurdle is, overcoming, just the learning aspect of it. And, just working with a large group of people. I think it's nearly 400 of us in the state legislature. So you're working with a big group of people, and you're in a whole different ball game than what I've been doing for the last few years.
I guess when you start preparing yourself, protection for school children in case of invaders and all. When you have something that's here where the guy gets into the school and starts shooting anything. So that's one thing that the legislators start looking at. For more protection,
right.
More to be aware. I'm sure every school has some kind of program or some kind of procedure. What happens, what to do. So that's one thing got to look into too.
Oh, absolutely. And school safety. We heard what happened at Sandy Hook and in Parkland and all these horrible incidents. And I think it's important that we protect our schools. And we find. By the way, I'm a very strong supporter of the Second Amendment. But I am also a strong supporter of common sense gun laws that protect kids, that protect everybody from domestic violence. There was actually a bill recently introduced by Representative Todd Stevens, which is a neighboring district here in Pennsylvania, which represents Horsham. He represents Horsham, and he introduced bipartisan legislation that prevents guns from getting in the hands of the wrong people with domestic violence and everything. So it's very important that we protect our kids, and I would support any legislation that doesn't, that makes sure that gun doesn't get into the hand of the wrong people.
Yeah, because of your background, what do you think of this caravan? All these people wanting to come in the United States. If you were President Trump, what would you do? How do you do it? It's a touchy thing.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know
it is.
what the story is.
As an immigrant myself, someone who came here when I was just 6 months old, I sympathize with immigrants and their situation. Fleeing their home countries.
But they got to go by the law.
They do got to go by the law. I am personally, for legal immigration, and I always have been.
Yeah.
But I think that we have laws to follow, and people were working very hard to get in here. And my parents are also immigrants. My dad is actually from India.
Your parents came the right way.
Yeah, they came the right way, and my dad was an engineer, my mom's a doctor, and they came the right way. They did all the paperwork, and they got in, and they worked hard for many years.
You can't bull yourself in there.
Exactly, yeah. So I think I think right now it's almost 14,000 people that are coming into this country in this caravan, and I just think it's important that we protect our borders.
Who started this thing? People have to walk over there. Where are they going to eat? Water, bathroom, whatever. Come on.
It's
crazy.
It is pretty crazy, and I just don't.
They lock the guys up that started that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
They most likely had to pay money to get in line.
I agree with you.
I don't know. It's a shakedown artist. Here's one from the other. That one guy over there. With okay. You got a hat on. Take your hat off. You're inside here now. How does your Peruvian heritage input your personality? Well, that's a fancy one.
That is a great question.
What, you got a relation up there? Somebody? No, you got a friend up there?
That is a good question.
I don't know. You read that out loud.
How does your Peruvian heritage impact your personality? Well, it's funny because I was kind of out of touch with it for a while. Because I came here when I was so young, before I could even talk.
Wait, start from the beginning.
So I came here when I was 6 months old. So, I've been out of touch with it for a while when I was growing up. I only went to Peru a few times.
What part of Peru?
So I was born in the northern coast, Trujillo, which is the northern Pacific coast.
Under Wallace. That's up in the mountains, way up about 10,000.
There's so many Quechua names that I can't even remember. But I studied abroad in Peru in 2012 as an exchange student with my university for an entire year.
Have you been down there?
I was there twice this year.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was there twice this year, and I love going down there. I studied abroad there in 2012, and that was the first time I really connected with my kind of Peruvian heritage because I actually lived there for an entire year.
And when you get down and see the way they live down there and the way we it kind of stimulates you to do things, right? Wouldn't it be?
In what way?
It's a whole different thing here. I remember some tells me some of the roads aren't paved, and different things, and they do a lot of walking. Go to school, they might walk a mile or so.
So it's funny because I actually took a road trip there. I rented a car for one weekend when I studied abroad there in 2012, and it's funny because there they have laws in place or how you're supposed to drive, but they don't actually enforce it. So people are driving all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And so I drove the Pan American Highway from Lima all the way down to Nazca.
They like in England on the left side?
We're on the right side. Yeah.
They're on the right side or left side?
Yeah, we're on the right side.
Like
just like in the United States, yeah. But, just driving in Lima, which is a city of 10 million people almost. And, people are honking and yelling at each other, just the way that they drive is pretty crazy. So when I was there for an entire year. So when I came back here and I started to drive again, I actually didn't really, I was kind of messed up because, I tried to stay in between the lines. It was kind of difficult to do so.
Well, I went down to Venezuela when I was a professional boxer, referee. I went down to referee. And it's a whole different ball game down there, and I see little young kids, maybe 12, 13, got things on their head. They carry the things on their heads, walking, and that strengthens their legs. You know, that's why I think they all play soccer down there. Soccer's a big game because they start young with their legs are strong.
Right.
And same thing with the Southern or Asian fighters. They're always in good condition. Their legs are in good shape because they, as young children, they carry things, they walk and do a lot of walking and get a lot of exercise. Over here, kids go to school, they get in the bus, they go over here, they're over there, they don't get as much strength in their legs.
I lost a lot of weight in Peru. Like, well, I lost like 15 pounds just because you're walking everywhere. You know, everything's so close by.
Yeah.
You know, driving it's not completely necessary in certain places. So yeah.
When he comes up from Peru with his wife and she cooks, oh my God, you could. But the one thing, a lot of potatoes. They put the potatoes in everything.
A lot of starches.
I get sausage, I get onions, and peppers and potatoes, you know, and make it short fraggia in Italian, you know. but that's good. And you speak a little bit, both languages a little bit.
So I didn't speak Spanish until I studied abroad there. I studied it in high school, but I didn't really pick it up until I actually was surrounded by the environment.
It's an advantage to have to learn another language.
It is, yeah.
No. Why are you interested in being a state representative? Why?
Like I said, it's just about giving back to my community. You know, I'm really grateful to be in this country, and you know, I wouldn't be where I am without it. So, you know, I think it's just a great way to give back to the community. I did consider running for council. I did consider running for commissioner even, but state representative I think is a good place to start just because it's so, you know, it's really, you know, it encompasses a pretty, you know, diverse, you know, community. And so I thought it was just a good idea to kind of step in there. But a lot of people ask me why I didn't run for something smaller like council or school board.
Oh, you know, my son sent me a tape. Every Sunday morning, whatever the town has, a mayor or a chief of police, the highest ranking officer, and it's a group of people, and they go to the center of the town and they raise the flag and they play the national anthem. Yeah. Every Sunday morning, you know. And so, you know, I got a last one here. All right, why are you interested in the state representative? You did answer that, right?
I did answer that,
all right.
Yeah.
But that's what you want to be. That's what you want to do.
That's what I want to
right?
be, yeah.
All right, I got 30 seconds. Tell me what you want to do now. Beat them up, scrub them up, hang them on the line. We could beat them any old time. No, go ahead.
So lowering property taxes, funding our education system, making sure that all schools are well funded, that not one school district is doing better than the other, that we have great schools for everybody so it doesn't matter what your zip code is or what your socioeconomic status is, and tackling the opioid epidemic, which I think is very important because it affects people of all ages, and you know we can't have a economic power without a healthy society. So those are things I really want to do, and a lot of people ask me about my experience, but I think it's important that we have people in office who with fresh ideas too. So I'm looking forward to getting out there, and hopefully I'll make it.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
From now on, you're running on Chris, just like Lou is running for senator, right?
That's right.
So Chris, right? So lots of luck.
Thank you so much.
If you're going to vote for Chris for state legislator in the state of Pennsylvania. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for allowing us to come in to your home, and I hope you help you, let you know what's out there, who's running, something about the person running. That's what this program's about. Education, entertainment, and anything else that comes along the line, okay? So until we meet again, keep bobbing and weaving, left hand high, stick and move, and keep your trunks off the canvas. So may God bless each and every one. Adios, amigos. Here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Chris. Okay. Thank you so much. All right, here's to your luck. Here's to your health.